Dumplings.
You.
Okay guys, today we're going to be making some dumplings, specifically gyoza. We're going to be doing two types today. One will be a mushroom dumpling and the other one will be a more traditional pork gyoza. Now there's a few ingredients that will cross over for both recipes, so I'll quickly explain those and then I'll break them down into the individual ingredients just in case you want to make one or the other. So some of the ingredients you will need for both of these is soy sauce, sesame oil, some kind of frying oil. I have peanut oil, you can use canola, vegetable, whatever you happen to have in your cupboard. Your gyoza skins, of course, ginger and garlic. Okay, now for the individual ingredients, for your mushroom gyoza, you will need shaoxing,
which is Chinese cooking wine.
Also known as Chinese cooking wine, correct? Some bamboo shoots, 3.5 to 4 cups of mushrooms. I have shiitake, shimeji, and baby oyster, but you can use whatever you want, any mushroom you want. You can use the same mushroom, a combination is completely up to you. 4 spring onions, some ginger, and some garlic. Now for your pork gyoza, you will need a cabbage. You can use plain cabbage or Chinese cabbage, it doesn't really matter. Garlic and ginger again, salt, some chives, and 500 grams of pork mince. Alright guys, I'm going to start prepping all of these ingredients now, and when we come back we can start cooking gyoza. Okay guys, now we've got everything prepped for our gyozas. Now I'm just going to show you a couple of things that we need to get ahead on. I will explain to you the amount and technique used for each ingredient as we go through them. I'm just waiting for my wok to heat up. While that's coming up to the heat, we'll just quickly salt our cabbage for our pork dumpling. So we have roughly 1.5 cups of finely shaved cabbage. You can do this with a grater, a mandolin, or just a very sharp knife, whatever you have. You simply just want to add about a teaspoon of salt to your cabbage and stir it through. The reason why we're doing this is to just leach out some of the moisture from the cabbage. You'll need to let this sit for about 20 minutes as well. So just as simple as that. You can set that to the side. Okay, now my wok should be about up to heat. You want to add about half a tablespoon of oil. Four cloves of garlic grated and about 1.5 tablespoons of ginger grated. Just want to saute that off.
Did you just have that spoon ready to go?
Damn right I did.
Awesome.
I'm always ready. The old sneaky back pocket teaspoon. Alright, so start sauteing that off. I'll just turn up my heat a wee bit.
So like high heat?
High, I'd say medium to high heat, yeah.
I feel like I should mention that while Dylan was chopping like the cabbage, the herbs, like the ginger, the garlic, he did all of that and I managed to do 1 bowl of mushrooms. So.
But you did them so well. So well.
All I'm saying is if you have a blender to chop the mushrooms, like much better.
Yeah, definitely. You could definitely use a food processor or a blender to pulse them. You don't want them too fine, that's the only thing. So I would use the pulse setting on your blender or your RoboCoop, whatever you have. Because you want them to be a little bit chunky, because you just want a little bit of texture in there as well. Okay, so now my garlic and ginger is sauteed off, which by the way is going to be one of the best smells in the world. Garlic and ginger, all about it. Okay, so now we have our mushrooms. Approximately 3 cups, finely grated beautifully by my assistant Cora.
You're welcome.
Alright, so now what we want to do with the mushrooms is let all of the moisture leak out from the mushrooms, and then we want all of that moisture to evaporate. So we're essentially cooking out all of the moisture from the mushroom. Alright, so I'm going to let this tick along until we get to the next point, and I'll show you guys how to finish it off. Okay, so now you can see our mushrooms are starting to dry out. A lot of the moisture has come out and evaporated. So now you want to add in your 1 cup of finely chopped bamboo shoots. Your 4 finely sliced spring onions. Again, the smell of this is just delightful.
You're delightful.
You are. Alright. Again, just getting as much moisture out of these mushies as you possibly can. Beautiful. Alright, now to finish, you want approximately 2 tablespoons of Shaoxing or Chinese cooking wine. One teaspoon of sesame oil. And 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. Maybe 1 and a bit. And you just want to cook this out until all of those wet ingredients evaporate. Which will only take a couple of minutes. Oh man, this is making me hungry already.
I want to zoom in, but the camera's getting foggy already.
Oh no.
Oh well. So you know it's good.
Alright guys, so all of our wet ingredients have evaporated now. So all I need to do now with this is just to set it aside, because we need that to cool down to room temp, or cool enough so we can handle it to actually make our dumplings. By the time that's cooled down, our cabbage should be nice and wilted, so we can throw all of those ingredients together. And then it's just a matter of actually rolling out our dumplings, which we will do next. Alright guys, so it's been about 1.5 gin and tonics worth of time. Our cabbage is nice and wilted. You can see the moisture started to bleed out of it. So all we need to do now is just squeeze. You can see how much water is coming out of that.
Oh.
Yeah, just squeeze as much of that out as possible. You don't have to worry about rinsing off the salt, because we've only put a teaspoon in there. This salt will just help to season the whole dish. It's kind of the perfect amount. Again, just squeezing out. It's quite amazing actually how much moisture comes out of it.
And why do you want to take the moisture out?
It's just so it's not too wet when you actually begin to roll your dumpling. Otherwise the moisture in the cabbage will start to leak out once you cook it. And will basically just affect the structure of the gyoza skin itself, because they're quite thin as far as dumpling skins go. Alright, so just like that. So you can see quite a lot of moisture actually came out of that cabbage. Then we have 1 cup of finely chopped chives. Garlic chives are also really good if you can find them. we have our 1 clove of garlic and about 1 teaspoon of finely grated ginger. You want 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. And 1 teaspoon of sesame seed oil.
Sesame oil is like my favorite flavor.
Such a good ingredient.
I put it on everything.
Now you just want to mix this all together. So a funny story of me mentioning before about measuring units of time in terms of drinks. My gin and tonic. But when we were in France, we were staying with a good friend of mine, Tristan. Shout out Tristan, by the way, in London. Hope you're doing well over there. His dad, when he would teach us how to cook things, he would usually, when I would ask him how long for this to cook, we would always be drinking Ricards, and he would always give me measurements of time in Ricards. So, you know, 20 minutes, maybe 2 Ricards, 30 minutes, maybe 3 Ricards. Yeah, so it was a good time.
Absolutely. Good people.
Good people. So this is all mixed together now. So we have our pork dumpling mix ready. We have our mushy dump cooled down, ready to go. So that's both of our mixes done. So now I'll just set up a little dumpling rolling station. And when we come back, we can start fucking rolling. Okay, my dudes, now we have our dumpling rolling station set up. Very few things you'll need. So you have your dumpling skins, obviously. You'll need a little bowl of water. This is just to wet the dumpling skin to actually help it stick. It basically acts as the glue. You'll need some form of tray with some baking paper on it to lay the actual dumplings out on. And 1 spoon. 1 tablespoon to be specific. Now, with your dumpling skins, you don't want them to dry out, so you want to work quite fast. If not, you can always just put a damp chucks or cloth or something over top of them just to stop them from drying out. The other important rule is don't overfill your gyoza skin. So just about a tablespoon worth of filling.
I always get too greedy.
Just like that will be plenty. Dip your finger in your bowl of water and you're just wetting the rim of your skin. Wet the rim of your skin.
This sounds so bad for some reason.
Okay, so now literally just grabbing one edge, folding it over and pinch it in the middle there. Now what you want to do is dip your finger in the water again, wet just the right hand side of the skin. And you're going to do 3 to 4 pleats. So fold the skin over like that. Lock it in. That's 1. Go about a thumb's measurement away. Do the same thing. And I reckon I'll fit 1 more in there. 1 more pleat at the end. Like that. Dip your finger in the water again. Wet the left hand side. And you can see I'm not saturating it. It's just enough to make it moist so it will stick. And then repeating the same process on the left hand side. So again, folding that over.
Towards the middle?
Towards the center, yeah. It's 1, 2, and 3. And then you want to just go around and press all of the sides together. Just like that, guys. That is gyoza. Okay. Then just lay them out next to each other on your baking paper and crack on.
I feel like later on we should do a side-by-side comparison of Dylan's dumplings and mine, because there's going to be a big difference.
Hey, yours are pretty good.
They're not great, but thank you. So yeah, just keep folding. We're going to show you a couple more so you can kind of keep, I don't know, track of the technique, because you can say it once, it's not going to help. I really love gyoza. I think it's probably my favorite dumpling. They're a bit nostalgic for me. I don't know if nostalgia is the right word, but I did an exchange to Japan when I was in high school, and one of the things I really strongly remember is one evening my host mother was making gyoza for dinner, and the whole family, well, I mean the whole family, it was my host mom, my sister, and my brother, all went into the dining room table. She had the mince all ready to go, and we just did this whole folding thing together as a family, which was, I mean, so much fun. Like, everyone was laughing at me because I can't fold, but also my younger brother couldn't fold, and it was just a lot of fun, you know. And then we brought out an electric frying pan, we cooked them all together as a family in the middle of the table, and I don't know if that's something that they normally did or something that they just did for me, but it was just such a great experience, and it was so much fun. And, you know, so if you're in isolation with roommates, with brothers and sisters or whatever, like, have a dumpling session, you know? It's great, and you're all going to be really bad at it, so it's hilarious. Definitely recommend.
Definitely a good one to get the team involved in, for sure. I agree 100%. Alright guys, so now I'm going to crack on and roll the rest of our dumplings, and when we come back we can start cooking these bad boys. Okay, so now we've got a few of our dumplings rolled out, we can start to cook them. So what you want to do is bring a pan up to a medium to high heat. Add about a tablespoon's worth of oil. And then gently put in your gyoza, skin side down. Just like so. I'm going to say about six at a time. If you have a bigger pan, obviously you can do more at a time. So now what we're trying to achieve is a nice golden brown crispiness on the bottom of your gyoza skin. Once we have that, we will then pour in our water and steam them. That's one of the cool things about gyoza, is the different textures, because you have the crispy bottom from frying them first, and also the nice soft texture from steaming them afterwards.
So when you do this, it is quite important to have a pan with a lid. Don't know if we mentioned that earlier, but because we're going to be steaming them, you absolutely need to be able to put a lid on that.
100%, very essential that you have a lid. This stage is quite important also for getting the right color on the bottom of your gyoza to begin with. So these should be nearly there. Just lift them up to have a look. There you go, that's exactly what you want, that nice dark golden brown color. So now that's ready to add in our water. Just be careful when you're adding in your water, by the way, because you are combining cold water and hot oil, which will always make it spit. So just be careful when you do it. Adding your water in, you want to add in just enough to kind of cover the bottom of the pan. So you can see that's spitting quite a lot. So you have to be quite careful. Now you can go ahead and turn your temp up. Now what you want to do is continue to boil them until that water basically completely evaporates. Once that happens, you can take your lid off and let the dumplings continue to cook out, so that the bottom of your gyoza skin becomes crispy again. Again, because that's one of the trademarks of a good gyoza, is a nice crispy skin and a nice soft steamed top to it. So normally your gyoza is served with a dipping sauce. I like to eat mine with some soy sauce, some rice wine vinegar, and some chili oil. But you can have whatever you like.
Definitely a soy sauce, vinegar, and a sesame oil kind of gal. But I like togarashi with it as well.
Togarashi for sure. Another great additive. Alright, so most of our water has evaporated. Just be careful when you lift the lid off to lift it away from yourself. You can see a lot of steam will come off, and steam will burn. Some of the worst burns I've seen in kitchens actually have been from steam, so be very careful. So you can see there's a little bit of water left in there. So you just want to continue to cook on a high heat until the rest of that water has evaporated and the bottom of the skin starts to crispen up again.
You have to be careful with this, I suppose, because you don't want the side not on the pan to dry out. But at the same time, you need all of the fillings to cook through properly. With the mushroom one, it's not such a big issue. All you need is the skin to cook. But with the pork, you really have to be careful because you need the meat to cook all the way through.
Alright guys, so these are done. So you got that beautiful, soft, steamed top and that lovely golden brown, crispy bottom. Look at that. I like to plate them up like this so you can see the nice crispy golden brown bottom. Oh, I cannot wait to eat these.
Damn.
Alright guys, there you have it. Mushroom gyoza and traditional pork gyoza. Enjoy.